What if pressing pause is the smartest power move you can make? Not quitting, not giving up, but intentionally stepping away to reset, rediscover, and redesign your life on your terms. In today's episode, we're diving into the full truth about career breaks and sabbaticals, how to plan one, afford one, come back even stronger, whether you're burned out, stuck, or just wondering what else is out there. This might be the episode that changes your trajectory. Let's talk about how to stop surviving your career and start living your life. This is the break you didn't know you needed. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on social for clips throughout the week. Welcome to the Say Yes Experience. I'm your host, Jessica Rector. If this is your first time here, welcome, friend. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you've ever felt like you need a break from your job or career, this episode might be exactly what you're looking for. You're in for an action-packed, fun conversation today. My guest is a rock star. If you're experiencing stress or burnout, who isn't these days? This is a conversation for you. My guest today, Katrina McGhee, is the author of Taking a Career Break for Dummies and co-founder of the Break Space community. Through her work, she created the Break Blueprint for a regret-free break. Get ready to explore what you may not even know you need with my fabulous guest and friend, Katrina McGhee. Welcome, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Jessica Rector. I'm excited to be here.
We are so thrilled to have you, Katrina. So for those people who are listening and may not know what a career break is, tell us a little bit more what that is and what it looks like.
Yeah, so it has a lot of names today. People love to just throw sexy, catchy names out there. So you might have heard mini retirement, micro retirement, work sabbaticals, sabbatical, career break, golden gap year, adult gap year, right? The list goes on. But essentially, when I'm talking about breaks, when I'm specifically talking about career breaks, I'm talking about periods of voluntary unemployment. So basically, periods where you step away from the 9 to 5 and from your career path to take time to do whatever you want to do, whether that's relax, rest, have an adventure, write a book, start a business, but basically do something that really is sort of putting your energy and time back into yourself to invest in your well-being. And a career break in this term, right? Like you're unemployed while you're doing it, but some people take sabbaticals, which are like a close cousin. So that's where your company will provide a benefit or a leave of absence for you to take time away, but you come back to the company and you know that kind of when you go into a break, what you're going to come back to. Whereas a career break is like into the wild, the wild frontier. Like you don't know where you're going to land until it's over and it's time to reenter.
So what are you finding that people, or why are you finding people are really needing career breaks right now?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we're human beings, and I think it's very natural. Like, harvest season, there are times where the fields lay fallow, there are times of harvest and everything in between. I think it's part of our makeup to take time to appreciate, soak up life, to rest, to recharge, to really live our lives. So I think in the perfect world, we would all be able to take breaks. Maybe they wouldn't be as long as my break, which was 20 months. They don't even need to be 6 months. In a perfect world, though, we would feel empowered to just step away from the grind and spend time with our loved ones, travel around the world, do things that light us up. But sadly, that is not our current reality. So I think breaks are a way to kind of solve a problem that I have seen over and over again, especially with high achievers hitting that sort of mid career inflection point where they've sacrificed a lot, they've
Mhm.
given a lot, and they realize they don't have the desire or the energy or the capability to push through for a whole second like half of their life to get to retirement, right? Second half of their work life to get to retirement. And so breaks offer a solution. They offer space for you to really reflect on who you are today, what new goals you have, what new things you want from your life, deeply heal, recharge, like recover from burnout, but also live adventures, do things that you can't do in your 15 to 18 days of PTO every year,
Mhm.
right? And just really like invest in living a life that feels really vibrant and celebrates everything that you have worked so hard to accomplish up to this point.
Now, when you're sitting there saying that, I'm thinking they're like long periods of time. Is there a specific time frame that is a career break that in order for it to constitute a career break, you have to take off X amount of days or X amount of weeks? What does that look like?
Yeah, so there is no formal like number that would be widely agreed upon. I have seen it as short as 2 months. I would say even 6 weeks. And that's usually somebody, like leaving one job and knowing that they're going to go into another job and negotiating for that sort of moment, that break, if you will, where they can do some
Yeah.
other things. And it's more than just like the average 1 or 2 weeks between jobs. But typically, the average from my clients and what I see is 6 to 12 months is kind of that sweet spot. But I have clients who, like myself, have gone beyond the 12-month mark. My break was 20 months. I have a couple clients or members in the community now who are on month 14 and month 16 and month
Uh,
18 of their breaks. So it can definitely go on for longer, but I would say 6 to 12 months is the average and what we most commonly would see.
So how do you set yourself up if you're thinking of taking a career break, you want to take a career break, but then even before that, how do you know if a career break's the right choice for you? Because
Yeah.
burnout is so rampant these days, Katrina, that every week you could be like, I really they need a career break, or once a month you're thinking that career break could sound really good right about now. So how do you know if a career break is really what you need? Want your event to do more than just motivate? Want it to transform? Hi, I'm Jessica Rector, CEO of the Say Yes Experience, #1 best-selling author and the keynote speaker and experience creator companies call when they're serious about change. I don't just speak, I'm known to move people. From the main stage to custom Say Yes Experience team building events, your group will crush comfort zones, ignite connection, and fuel mental wellness and peak potential. All while having the kind of fun that actually sticks. Whether it's a leadership summit, company offsite, or all hands meeting, we bring immersive, energizing experiences that unlock what's next for your people and business. So if you're ready to ditch burnout and lead your team into bold action and a Say Yes culture, book me now at jessicarector.com or email me at jessica@jessicarector.com. And hey, subscribe to the Say Yes Experience podcast right here. It's where the movement starts.
You've heard of a bucket list, things you want to do before you die, right? At the Say Yes Experience, we believe in something truly more powerful. The Say Yes bucket list. The things you want to do to truly start living. It's about feeling alive, breaking out of routine, and turning someday into right now. We've created a free Say Yes bucket list template to help you get started. So you can move to ideas to action and start saying yes to light the things that light your fire. So don't wait to truly start living, and download your free template today.
Yeah. Well, if you think you really want one, it probably is what you could use. But the question is, right, is it accessible? And so my whole thing, right, and writing my book, Taking a Career Break for Dummies, the whole point of that book was how do I make breaks more accessible? So if you feel like you might want a break, the very first thing I would suggest is creating a purpose statement, really understanding why you want to take a break and what you need to get out of it. So that is going to be clarifying for you to understand. Is it a sabbatical? Is it actually just me asking for like a 4 week or 2 month leave of absence, or seeing if in my employee handbook, if sabbaticals are even offered at my company, so that I can just create some space to recharge and to really maybe take the pottery class I've been dying to take, but like not have work stress weighing me down. So getting clear on your purpose will really help you understand the length of time that you might want to take on this break, and B, the sense of urgency, right? Um, everybody deserves a break. We all deserve it. It's not natural to just be on a freaking hamster wheel, grinding, grinding, grinding all the time. And in today's world, like we're always connected. And that just like exacerbates the burnout, the fact that we can't ever really fully disconnect. And so if you have this urge, like honor that. If you can't take a full on break right now, think about maximizing your PTO to take like a 4-day weekend and like turn your phone off, leave it in a whole separate room, leave your house without your phone, go be in nature, on an overnight trip, like do things that help you really fully disconnect from all of the mental like drama and the energy leaks that are
Yeah.
going on with like work and life to really like kind of boost that restoration. But essentially, if you think you want one, I would say you absolutely deserve one. And then the question becomes, how do you enact a plan to make it happen? Money is obviously a big piece of the game. So you want to start getting your numbers together. How much would a break cost me? And what am I spending right now? Down to the dollar. What am I spending right now? And how much am I saving? And then projecting like if nothing changed, how long would it take me to get to be able to take a break? You might want to change your habits like I did. I saved $40,000 in 18 months because when I did the calculations, I was like, break is going to cost $38,000. Katrina has $1,500 in her bank account. Like that math ain't mathing, right? So something's got to give. But it did. And I figured it out, right? But so it just really like pushed me to get more resourceful and creative. So that could be you. But half of my clients, spoiler, would say, I don't know that I could afford a break, and they actually have the money, it's giving themselves permission to use it as an investment in their well being because they're currently only thinking of it as an expense, which is like the wrong way to think about a break. Wrong, 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 right? It's an investment in your well being and an investment in having a better future self, right? A future version of you emerging that is stronger, higher performing, more inspired, can contribute at a higher level, like all the things. So I think those are some really great places to start. But if the idea comes to you and you feel in your spirit like, man, that sounds so nice, you deserve a break. And then the question becomes, what kind of break could you take?
Well, listening to you, everyone thinks that they need a break, right? Because burnout is so rampant, which is one of the reasons why we developed the software platform, Burnoutable, because burnout's happening not just at work, but it's also happening at home and it's happening all the time in all different capacities, right? So, parental burnout, technology, social media, dating, work. I mean, all these different kinds of burnout, right? And so, how do we know if it's like a career break we need, or if it's just I'm burned out on life and I need to change something about life? And how do we distinguish that difference?
Yeah. Well, if you're in a space where you're questioning your path, right? Your career path. And so you're feeling like either A, I am so done with this career, like I just need something different, or B, I'm so done with this employer employee situation and I want to maybe try my hand at becoming a contractor or starting a business or doing something else. Like that's a really good sign that a career break could be beneficial, right? Because it creates space and disconnection from your past career path for you to have that reflection and that insight to figure out what comes next and run some tiny experiments to figure out like how do I make this happen? How do I upskill or how do I start to launch this business, right? Or write this novel, things like that. But also, if you are feeling like really exhausted in a way where you're so depleted, it just feels beyond you to problem solve on how to change it. So a lot of times we're under an avalanche, like we're buried under an avalanche of responsibility. And it just feels like I don't even have the strength to figure out what piece of my life I could change or to have the space and time to change it. And so if you're feeling like you're under that avalanche and you just need time to breathe, if you're able to take a break, it kind of creates like this, it clears the way, right? It moves the snow out so you can kind of catch your breath and
Yeah.
really think about like, how do I want to get out of this hole? And the last one is, and this was true for me, there was a lot of misalignment in my career, but also I had big dreams. So if you have big dreams that take a massive amount of vacation time, right? Or require you to like not be checking into that job every day or like squeezing in your life into these little tiny pockets of PTO, a break is a really great opportunity to do that. I wanted to see the world. There was no way. I mean, I traveled the world for, like almost 2 years. I spent a lot of that time in the US. Like it wasn't all abroad, but I don't know how many PTO days that would have been, but it would have been more than a lifetime, probably like
Yeah.
4 lifetimes of PTO days to do that.
So you mentioned really figuring out what you want out of it. Where do you start with figuring that out? Because some people may just think, well, I just really want a break. There's nothing really what I want out of it. I really just need to get away from this job.
Well, ask yourself a simple question. This is such a great point because this is actually hard for some people to understand and develop a purpose statement, which we have a whole course built around this because it's not so easy and straightforward. You want to ask yourself a deeper question about the why, right? So the question could be why do I need this break? Like, what is it that I really want this break to do for me? And that's getting at what in my life doesn't feel so good and what are kind of my visions, hopes, desires for this time off? What would success look like to me?
Mm.
Another question you could ask yourself is what would feel like a miracle in regards to this break? So that's a really great question to ask because if you let yourself dream big and you think about how would I like my life to be through and after the break, that oftentimes is a sign of what you're missing, lacking in your current life and what you would like to create more of and need space to create more of through the break. Or, even if you didn't take a break, it's very insightful. It's a very insightful question to ask to kind of figure out like where am I feeling lackluster in my life and what am I
Yeah.
trying to call in?
Well, I can hear most people right now say, a break sounds really nice. I don't have the money for that. That's
Uh-huh.
nice that Katrina was able to save
Yeah.
$40,000. I can't save that. Like, I just hear that as a big objection
Yeah.
to being able to take a break. I mean, so many people think that's for someone else. So where can they start saving money? How can they figure out how much money that they need to have saved before they even start
Mhm.
thinking about a break?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked this, and a lot of people do think this, and some people that I met on my break assumed I had a trust fund, which let me tell you, I do not, right? Because it's like, who can afford to do that? That's so luxurious, and that's so
Yeah.
like, and that's a big part of my mission is to make it not be positioned as a privilege because everybody should be able to do it. And I recognize that not everyone can, but I'm trying to normalize them for more people, right? And so if you don't have the money, right? Let's do the math here. I had $1,500 in my bank account. I was making about $92,000 at the time, but I also had 60 plus $1,000 of debt for business school. I owned a townhouse that because of the housing market crisis was still underwater. I was breaking even at best month over month with my tenant in there, right? Like there was no reason on paper that I should have been able to take a break either. I just decided that my desire to make this freaking impossible thing possible was bigger
Yeah.
than my fear and confusion about like where am I at and how do I get there. It's like, well, I just got to take it one step at a time. So I say that to say your break doesn't have to cost $38,000. If you heard the part about 20 months, you don't need a 20-month break, right? You can take a break for 3 months. I have
Yeah.
clients who are grown adults, myself included, that sold their belongings and just moved into a home base with a family member or a friend for like 3 months or 6 months to just basically not pay rent and have a place to kind of crash when they weren't traveling or when they were figuring things out. There are ways to shortcut and trim on the expenses. It's so important. Money is not free. You are exchanging your life force every single day you go into the office. And even when you're sitting at home, you are exchanging your life force for those dollars. That's cool, man. That's the trade that we're all in, right? To survive. But you need to make sure that then when you get that money in exchange for your life force, you are using it as a tool for your joy and your empowerment and your sort of like vibrant life as much as you are trying to create a sense of safety, right? It's not only to create a sense of safety while you waste away the health, the longevity, the mobility, the joy, the like intellectual curiosity that you have right now in the season of your life. So I would just encourage people to think differently, to be resourceful about how much it actually needs to cost, find ways to save the money faster. I saved bonuses, lump sums, tax refunds, like I shoved that money away. I didn't spend it until I had enough money to take a break. But where there's a will, I believe there's a way. It just your break might look different than my break.
Well, and also take a look at your expenses. Which one of those expenses can you get rid of altogether? I mean, if you even just look at all the streaming devices that you have, the $10 that you're spending a month here, the $15 here, the 9.99s here, like you just cut those out and you'd be surprised how much money you could save just every month on those type of things as well.
Yeah, it all adds up. And, I made some big, bold moves when I was saving money. I got a roommate in my 30s. I hadn't had a roommate since college. And I was like this, like well-to-do MBA professional, but it's like my dreams, my dreams and my desires were so much bigger than my pride at that point. And they were so much bigger than the limited thought. Like my life has to look a certain way for me to be successful. I just rejected that. So I ended up moving in with somebody that I worked with who was like a casual friend, and she was trying to pay off all her student loan debt. I was trying to save for this break. We both had a really massive incentive to do it. We got some bougie condo with like heated underground parking in Minnesota. So like we weren't slumming it by any means, but I had a roommate for a year and it helped me save so much
Yeah.
money so much faster. But that's who I am, right? Like when I tell you I want to do something, I am willing to do a lot of things to get what I want. And I think a lot of times people just feel trapped where they're like, I have to maintain the status quo and create something new. And you cannot hold both realities at the same time.
Or I'm trying to express this certain persona on social media. And if I have a roommate, I can't express that life is perfect, everything's wonderful to the outside world. But,
Yeah.
I think there's also a point in time that we get to, or we should get to, that we stop living our lives for other people and we start saying, okay, but what is it that I really want in life? Where do I want to go? What do I want to achieve? And what's really good for me? But as long as you keep living according to how other people think you should be living, you'll never actually go do those things for yourself either. Now, I would wager to say that one of the misconceptions that I think people are going to have when you're talking about career breaks is that it's going to be, if you take 6 months off or a year off, it's going to be really hard to find a job whenever you get back. And how am I then going to explain this big gap in work to someone who's going to be interviewing me, meaning I'm going to get back and then I'm not going to have a job. I'm going to be broke and not have a job. So how do you address that whenever you hear it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's not true unless you want it to be true. And then if you want it to be true, you can absolutely make that true. But, I landed 5 job offers in 5 weeks when I came back from a 20-month break. I had only been in my second career for 3 years after getting an MBA and completely changing from actuarial science and healthcare to market research for a consumer packaged goods company, right? So I did it. The reentry period is your it's your Hail Mary pass. Like it is something you absolutely need to have if you're worried about coming back from your break and finding a new job. So I recommend it for everyone, but especially for people that are on a true break where they've given up employment and they're basically going to have to reenter the job search. So you want to set aside time and money at the beginning of your break proactively to think about, okay, I will answer big life questions. I will reflect on the benefits of my break. I will mentally prepare to re-enter the workforce and really give my all to the job search, like in this dedicated time. And you'll have money to cover that dedicated time. We have members in Break Space now that are on a break and they have re-entry periods set aside. For my clients who I've coached, I've coached over 100 breaks, all of my clients, I make them have a re-entry period and it can look a lot of different ways. But I will tell you, it is a freaking asset to have a break on your resume and in your life experience if you decide that it is. So, one of the activities I make every single client do is list 25 benefits they got from their break, big and small. I slept through the night. I started getting 8 hours of sleep for the first time in my adult life.
Mhm.
One of my clients wrote all in capital letters, I love Mondays again, right? Like powerful stuff that you take for granted. But the point is, it's going to improve your mental health. It's going to improve
Mhm.
your physical health. It's going to improve your spiritual health. Like you are going to feel so freaking inspired and empowered after having so much autonomy and just like the space to find things that bring you to life and get you curious about life again, to heal the burnout, right? All the stuff.
The Say Yes experience is a movement that helps you adapt to change, enhance mental wellness, and stretch into what's possible. We tailor every experience to your specific challenges and goals, whether that's preventing burnout, building resilience, or creating a culture of bold action and connection. Whether it's a getaway with your friends or creating something for small teams to an entire organization, this is where transformation begins. Say yes to growth. Say yes to a custom experience designed just for you. Let's build and develop your own Say Yes experience at jessicarector.com. This episode is sponsored by Wish you could hit pause, catch a breath, and leave the rat race behind for a while? You can. Come check out Breakspace, a global community where mid-career professionals just like you are creating life-changing breaks every day. Founded by two leading break experts, this one-of-a-kind resource is your go-to for all things career break. With hands-on coaching, dynamic courses, and genuine connection, you don't have to go at it alone. Visit gobreakspace.com.
So if you are able to really sell yourself on the benefits, it is a no-brainer to communicate those benefits to people in the interview process or in the networking process.
Yeah.
Imagine all those little hamsters on the hamster wheel that are struggling with burnout and they have like broken hamster legs and they're like still trying to use their hamster arms to get the wheel to turn. And you got off the hamster wheel and played in the happy grass and you went to like a hamster doctor and you're all like fit to go. And it's like, now I want to go get back on a wheel. And some people don't want to get back on the wheel. But if you want to get back on the wheel, you're like, hey, I'm here. I'm super excited. I'm like healthy. Like, give me the wheel. I got this. Right. And it's,
Yeah.
but it's true. But it's like, how is that even a competition? How is that even a competition? You can also use that time to upskill. If you're really worried about it, go get a certification or take some online classes or just nerd out, deep dive down podcasts and books, get educated on things that you feel like are relevant and practice like networking and building your network and going to events during your break, not at the beginning though, please, but like during the like last half of your break to really help pave the way for that transition and that re-entry back into work. But it absolutely can be an asset. It makes you stand out. And I have had many people reflected back to them during the interview process that the majority of initial conversations are around, tell me about your break. What was your favorite experience? What did you do? Right? Like people just being generally curious about it. And if you believe like, yeah, it was an asset, like I did these things and I learned this stuff, people will be positive in their responses to it.
Well, so why not do that at the beginning? Because you said, well, wait until the end to do that. So why not do those things at the beginning?
Yeah, tricky. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make. So if you do it at the beginning, imagine this, right? I've worked so hard to take this break. I've planned a break. I've saved this money. I'm so excited. And I'm going to start worrying about what's going to come next in the job. And I'm going to put all this energy into like planting seeds for my future job. It takes you out of all of the personal life stuff that you really wanted to invest in on this time off. And what is true, I have seen this time and time again. What is true, it is very hard to hold the priority of planting seeds for your future and like a very grounded appreciation and joy for the present. And so work is a place of stress. Will I find a job? Will the money come back? Like that will just, anytime you spend time thinking about that, it's going to cause stress. And so that's why you want a reentry period to like dedicate time to like work through that stress. But if you start kind of like immediately take a break and then start networking or start like upskilling in things, you're not really going to give yourself the decompression to fully feel the disconnection and get the full benefit of the break. You're going to have this low grade attachment to your old life and worry about the future. And it's really going to cloud and muddy the waters so that you don't fully enjoy the break nor get to experience like the true freedom of when you really power down, right? It's like you're kind of like running on a low charge and you're not fully allowing that battery to charge. You're just trying to get it to like 40% instead of 10% so you feel a little better, but you're not actually living the miracle of you could charge to 100% before you take the phone off the charger.
Well, it's like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You're not
exactly
fully invested in it. So what do people need to have in mind? We kind of talked about leading up to the break, how to set yourself up for success to take a break. But how do they set themselves up for success being in the break? So you said, okay, keep all that stuff for the last half, but what is it that they really need to have in mind or go into a break knowing I'm taking this break to do what? I mean, because what we don't want to happen is great. You just spent all this time taking a break. Now you're getting out of it. You got to go find a job. And yet what you wanted to do or what you thought you wanted to do on that break didn't happen. So how do you set yourself up for success that you can look back and say, man, A, I'm so glad I took that break. B, it was successful. C, it was the right choice.
Yeah. Great question. you really need to develop a blueprint. So we have a whole course on this, the break blueprint course. But basically you want to map out a strong foundation for your break. So the first element is your purpose statement, which you and I have already talked about. The second element, very closely related, you want to have 3 to 4 themes for your break: learning, restoration, connection, like adventure, what health reset, whatever the words are, you
Mm,
want to have 3 to 4 pillars that are really going to hold up and support this purpose. And if you live into those pillars, invest in those pillars, spend time on those pillars, you will fulfill the purpose of your break. You will have a successful experience and feel really great when you come back. But it can be hard when you're coming into a break to feel the burden of trying to like justify it or feel like, you're maximizing and optimizing every single second of it. So please know there's a decompression period. You have to give yourself so much grace. It can last the first 2 months. And some people that are really, really burnt out, it can last longer. But you want to think about those first 6 to 8 weeks being like an easing into a break and really allowing yourself to take like double nap days and to have some days where you're panicked and other days where you feel a burst of energy and you want to like clean the whole house. Like whatever it is, you just have to kind of let yourself be with all of the feelings because this is a very unnatural state in the sense of you've never really probably experienced this before in your whole adult
right.
life and you're ebbing and flowing. And a lot of people have a real serious attachment to productivity and justifying their worth. Like, I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to be irresponsible. Like, I have
Yes.
all this time. I should get this done. I've got to paint that room and do this laundry. And your body is like, I am so freaking tired. We're finally on a break. I'm going to shut down now. And you're like, all I'm doing is sleeping and eating. That's normal. Okay. That's so normal.
Thinking
Please
that,
don't think
what
it.
if you just spend so much time just laying on the couch, vegging out, watching TV, and then you sit there and go, okay, I just took 3 months and all I did was lay on my couch and veg out and watch TV. What was the point of that?
Yeah. So I can tell a lot about you, Jessica Rector, and your level of productivity and accomplishment because I have lots of clients that ask, and the ones that ask that, I think some of them say, what if I'm just eating bonbons on the couch all day for like 3 months? Is like I've had it phrased that way. But it's because they're doers. Like they have a high energy and they get things done and they move at a like really like pace, right? That's right. Yeah. And so the idea of like stopping is like, what if I never come back on? But like, here's the thing. That's a part of you, right? The do and the go is a part of you. So if you decompress, that part always comes back. It doesn't go away. What you might find is that you have a new speed. Maybe it's like a fourth gear instead of like a fifth gear, but like maybe that's your more natural speed. But like the fifth gear is always a gear that you have. And you being a doer, right? You being someone that goes out and just creates things in the world, has ideas, that doesn't go away. If anything, it gets amplified when you actually like have the restoration and the energy recharge. It's kind of like for you, if you were to go on a week-long retreat and really just disconnect, you're not going to come back and be like, I don't have any inspiration to do anything. It's like that time away is going to allow you to be like, I have all these ideas and now I'm
Yeah.
excited and I just want to like, I got this clarity around this thing. And I see that play out just in an extended format when people are on a break. And I would say for people that really struggle, absolutely have a morning routine and think about your structure for the break because it can actually be very dysregulating and unnerving for someone that is used to going, or doing to have no structure. And that's one of the places I see people struggle the most when they're kind of going into a break. So, like weekly reflection questions where you're asking, like, what do I want to celebrate about my break this week? What went well? What didn't go well? And then thinking about one thing that you want to do differently for the next week and continually like iterating and reflecting can be helpful for you to see the progress, but also having a morning routine that gives you like this hit of accomplishment and basically sets a tone that you've already done something productive for your day so you can kind
Yeah.
of rest and relax a little bit more into letting your day unfold from there.
Or just a sense of purpose throughout your day.
Mhm.
I'm getting up and I did something as
Yeah.
opposed to great. I slept till noon or 1 o'clock. And then
Yeah.
and then I would just feel completely lazy. I didn't get anything done. I didn't do anything. And then, I would hate to get in that mode. So Katrina, what do you
Yes.
think people need to know if they want to take a break? Like what is if, because there's people that they said this would never have occurred to me. I never thought I could be that quote unquote type of person that could take a break,
Yeah.
and then be able to find a job when I got back. That's for other people. So what do you think, like the one thing that people need to know about breaks is.
Yeah, they're on the rise. Like, this is not abnormal. We are not supposed to be living and working our whole lives. Our, what is it,
Sure.
90,000 to 100,000 hours without a break? Like, that's not actual, like, that's not how we're like built as humans. A 6 month break, by the way, is about 1,000 working hours. So,
Wow.
spending 90,000 to 100,000 hours over your career working, and all you're trying to reclaim in 6 months off would be 1,000 of those hours for yourself and to enjoy your life. Okay. But what I would want people to know is that, man, life life is so big. It is so much
Mhm.
more than just our jobs. And if that is your whole identity, a break is a perfect pathway to figure out who you really are and the other parts of you that are really amazing and beautiful and like that can bring something meaningful to this world. But essentially, yeah, they're normalized, they're being normalized. Like my publisher writes,
Hey, I'm Blaze, and the CS experience was my idea. I created it to help my mom, Jessica Rector. When she was traveling and keynote speaking a lot and on the verge of burnout, I wanted her to say yes to herself, to joy, and to what's possible. What started out with me helping her find a new ice cream around town had turned into a movement. So together we wrote this book, The Say Yes Experience, with 52 powerful tips to help you prevent burnout, strengthen your mental health, and live intentionally. Step outside your comfort zone. One tip, one small shift, one big impact. Ready to say yes to a better you? Grab the Say Yes experience at jessicarector.com/store.
Burnout isn't just exhaustion, it's a warning sign that something needs to change. 90% of the workforce has been in burnout in the last year alone, according to Gallup, and it's not going away anytime soon. It's even impacting the home life, but it doesn't have to be that way. In my powerful book, Blaze Your Brain to Extinguish Burnout, 52 Keys to Prevent, Breakthrough, and Beat Burnout, I show you how to take back control, reignite your energy, and transform overwhelm into opportunity. Backed by research and real-life strategies, this isn't just another self-help book. It's your guide to lasting change, mental wellness, and saying yes to the life you deserve. Ready to break the burnout cycle? Grab Blaze Your Brain to Extinguish Burnout today at jessicarector.com/store. If you want to get a copy for your team or all your employees, reach out to me directly for rates at jessica@jessicarector.com.
The For Dummies books are very like mainstream books. And they reached out to me to say, hey, we see momentum in this topic. We want to write on this subject. And LinkedIn has over 2 million people that have used the career break feature to announce breaks. I get tagged in announcements all the time on LinkedIn, more and more every day. I have people in Ireland, Singapore, South Africa sending me notes on LinkedIn saying, hey, I read your book. It was so great. Thank you so much. So I just want people to know it is becoming normalized. It is not weird. We are not supposed to be living and working the way that we're living and working, but society has like morphed and evolved way faster than we've been able to keep up and proactively like design it intentionally, right? But breaks are the most are like I know this might be a little like contentious, but like I think breaks are the most responsible thing you can do because you get one life. All is that is ever promised to you is what you have today. Your faculties, right? Like your mental and physical faculties, the people in your life, they are not promised tomorrow. Absolutely not. And I think it's a waste to really have other parts of your life you want to invest in and to ignore that and think that they're just going to magically be waiting for you when you get to like 65, 70, 75, 80. I think it's the most responsible thing you can do to just take a pause and really like appreciate the 360-degree view of your life instead of the narrow view of your job.
Oh, I love, love, love that. Yes. And for us to be more intentional and strategic with our lives and not just waiting for it to happen. Because no one's gonna come up to you and say, hey, would you like to take a career break? This is the perfect time, right? Unless maybe they meet you in person. Yes, take a career break. But most people, their job's not going to go to them. Their boss isn't going to say, hey, are you interested in a career break? Here, you can take one. And I know that we've talked before, and you've even mentioned that they can write it in their contracts about taking a sabbatical to make sure that they get some kind of time off in their
Yeah.
career, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all open to negotiation, right? So when you are starting out, like, is that something that you want to look for in the employee handbook when you are actually working there? I've had clients who have negotiated for leaves of absence because their company didn't provide a formal sabbatical, but they didn't want to lose them. And they're like, we'll give you some time off. How much time do you need? Like, can you take 3 months? Is that good enough? Right. So where there's a will, there's a way. And if you don't want a full-on career break, go to your employee handbook and start to figure out like what kind of leave of absence you would want and how long would you want it to be. And then start proactively thinking about what would be the backfill situation. Like how could we live, like how could the company move forward if I was gone for 3 months? Like being proactive about that can really go a long way to showing your manager that you are invested in in the well-being of yourself, but also in the team.
Yes, yes, yes. And to also grab your book, Career Break for Dummies, and to join your break space community for lots of great information and help and resources and support around taking a break. Thank you so much for being here, Katrina, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Jessica. It was great.
Yes, I always love our chat. So if you are interested in taking a career break, make sure you check out Career Break for Dummies. Reach out to Katrina McGhee and join her break space community for lots more help and support. And we'll see you on the next Jessica Rector Show. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye. If you've ever thought, I need a break but can't afford to, or what if stepping away ruins everything I've built? Katrina just gave you some juicy answers to those pressing thoughts. Taking a career break isn't about walking away from your life. It's about finally waking up towards it with intention, clarity, and power. Whether you're in burnout, craving something different, or just wondering what else is possible, know this. The pause doesn't end your story. It recharges it. Start by asking yourself, what would I need? Emotionally, financially, and practically to give myself the permission to step away. And if this episode stirred something inside of you, make sure you share it with someone else who's been carrying the weight of, I can't stop. Tag us at #SayYesExperience and tell us what your dream break would look like. Remember, this isn't about giving up. It's about giving yourself the space and the grace to breathe, to dream, and to reset so you can return bolder than ever before. I believe in you. Your potential is waiting for you to catch up. Keep saying yes. Live more.